very nice position here. He actually ate through one of the trees, and there's just one more tree left for him to be able to get a jump on DK Phobos, and sure enough, there it is. Leading with the Hex, the Blood Right's going to be able to follow it up. They already get a good amount of burst damage. Actually got the snowball off immediately after and will be able to get some distance, but it looks like DK Phobos will still die. He just throws out the ice shards, same thing as Heen did earlier, just to try and get more damage on the enemy carry who chased him out. But of course, a Bloodseeker doesn't really care too much. And now Bloodseeker is getting to that position where, while they did have to put 2 supports behind him, Bloodseeker can still full-time jungle, which is a gigantic advantage. And he can go ahead and give up this lane to probably the, well, either the Pugna or the Lion would actually get a big advantage out of solo experience.
Yeah, the downside here is that MVP is trying to push this tier 1 tower down, but DK Phobos is already alive, and this is the trade-off. You want to take the tower, but you're going to willingly give up XP to DK Phobos, so yeah, he's going to be pretty satisfied with this trade. He's doing a good amount of harass, and almost everybody from MVP is a little bit hurt. He doesn't have any mana, and a Pugna without mana doesn't really contribute too much to the lane, and DK Phobos is going to get almost level 4 off of this tower aggression that they just used, and FNG might even decide to go up there at some point just to protect him, because Lion at level 2 and 3 is one of the strongest supports, because Hex lasts for so long.
You compare that to, say, the Rubik, who Lil is just doing full-time pulling at this point in time. He's already level 4 because FNG is spending so much time moving around. FNG is actually roaming a lot into the middle lane, but he's also, very importantly, stacking up this Radiant Ancients, which is a key way for a Templar Assassin to be able to get back into the game. Ever since that change-up with Sideblades and the Ancients interaction, Templar Assassin has become a much more valid mid-hero than before. Because it used to be that Templar Assassin didn't have those kind of farming capabilities, or at least not nearly as strong as it is now.
He's actually doing really well in the mid lane. Like 39 CS at 6 minutes is kind of absurd.
Yeah.
You want about 25 at 5, and so for him to be at this level, it doesn't really matter what MP has, because he's going to be so happy about this. But at top...
Yeah, easy pick off there on the Clockwork. At the bottom lane, Illidan and Lil are able to get that pick off. Top lane MVP Hot 6 do take the tower as the reaction, though. They already brought it low enough, and honestly, VP just do not have the kind of rotational strength just yet to be able to defend an outer tower. So it's at that point in time that we'll probably see the Bloodseeker doing a lot of jungling. No need to be in lane anymore, and one of those supports can kind of take the gamble of pushing forward and trying to get that solo experience. But Heen, in his trial there to try and get out an early ward, it's a good laning ward to have, but unfortunately he got spotted out by another laning ward from VP. They actually replaced the tower essentially with the ward, and that's what gets them that kill.
That was really smart of them to do, just so that they could see when one of the supports go up there, and if it's a free kill or not, because if you don't have that ward up there, you don't really know if the Bloodseeker can rotate and pressure you, but because they know it's there, it's really hard for him to be able to go out there, and so that's a free kill for him, and MP's going to do some of the jungle stacks, but right now, G doing the ancient stacks, this is going to give him such a huge infusion of gold, and this is so important for a TA just because the items that you're going to get are so cost-effective on Templar Assassin, which is why I think we're seeing a big resurgence with TAs in this international right now, because Desolator is so cheap. It allows you to go for Roshan really quickly. She's one of those mid-heroes that don't really lose any of the lane matchups that you would expect. And so we're seeing that right now, and she's just having such a good time. Like, she's even beating the Bloodseeker in overall farm right now.
Yeah, Templar Assassin and Clinks, the two big Desolator heroes now. Jarek's going to be put in a bad position. In fact, locked inside with the Ice Shards. Quick snowball to be able to pull God inside. They will be able to get that kill. MVP Hot 6, not much they could really do about that one. And if they're not careful, yeah, God's actually going to spot out this stack. He could go for it, but first he wants to utilize this haste rune to be able to get the kill onto the Pugna. Now he has a Decrepify, and it's going to try and TP out, but it's not going to be enough. Decrepify just doesn't last long enough. God gets the last right click for a double kill. And Virtus Pro taking a very early lead here. Rupture getting laid out. Looks like Forev really wants to go for this kill on FNG. Did he block out the Bloodseeker? He did. Beautiful setup. And now looks like FNG will perfectly survive. The snowball goes out, but Forev is obviously way far out.
That fissure positioning by FNG was insane.
Oh, no.
Clockwork.
Poor Earthshaker. Goes down, Clockwork. He went for the 3 levels in Rocket Flare over the level of Battery Assault. I feel like this is a pretty smart build when there's a lot of heroes on the side of VP that you can't actually contest in a 1 versus 1 inside Cogs. The Gyrocopter is more powerful with his Rocket Barrage most of the time, and Templar Assassin will usually beat you to a pulp before Battery Assault does its work. And then you've got Tusk, who just snowballs if you ever manage to get him inside the Cogs. So I feel like the Rocket Flare is a lot more valuable in this game, where 9 times out of 10, you usually see a battery assault first.
Yeah, the interval timing is the same whether you level it or not, so it doesn't really make that big of an impact. And having that third level of the rocket flare definitely secured that kill for him. But what I'm a little bit concerned about right now is that Sumbi is a bit under-leveled and a bit under-farmed. DK Phobos is in a similar situation, but DK Phobos was against a straight-up tri-lane. So his is a little bit more forgiving, but FNG at top decides that he's going to smartly farm this. This is typically what you do. You give up, once you lose that tier 1 tower at top, because you don't want to be there as an offlaner, instead you stick a support there.
Yeah.
And they don't want to smoke gank FNG of all heroes, because if you can't get a tower out of it, then it's probably not worth the 100 gold investment of the smoke and the cooldown of the smoke. So this is a better move for them, is they're going to go for Lil here. It's not ideal, but it is something.
And they'll be well set up to put pressure on this bottom lane and force the Gyrocopter away from the wave. I'm sure they're not going to be able to catch him by any means, but they will just keep him from farming and may even put some pressure on that tier 1 tower. Now, Forev did go for the Hand of Midas build, not a big surprise. Most Bloodseekers are going that route nowadays, but this kind of means he's not going to have a whole lot of effectiveness in the next 5 to 10 minutes. MVP Hot 6, though, I think they've got a strong enough 4-man lineup that they can, force fights against VP.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. When you go for a smoke, they were actually trying to go for Illidan there, but they weren't able to do so. They ran into Lil, but because this bottom lane was already so low, they were able to rotate down. Yeah. And it's one of those smokes that isn't designed to kill somebody, but if it does, you're fantastic, because you're going to get the tower no matter what. Like, FNG showing himself top. If he TPs in, he'll have max 1 Fissure mana, and so MVP Hot 6 feel really comfortable continuing that push. And their team isn't the best at, like, their supports are really fragile, and so it's not easy for them to just sit in the lane like it is for FNG, who can just fissure and TP out against a Bloodseeker. So he can actually rely on the lane, whereas MVP Hot 6's supports, they have to rely on things like the tower gold, going for the smoke kills, things of that nature.
Right. Virtus Pro, in response to that, knowing that they can't really contest that bottom lane, especially after they dropped a hero, try and go for a 2-man smoke between DK Phobos and G. G decided to go for a Blink Dagger here. Now, the Blink Dagger builds, obviously there's many squishy heroes. Oh, they actually jump in. They're going to be able to grab Lil, push him. Oh, Jesus, that triple ultimate's used for the poor Rubik. That's twice in a row that Lil just gets overly ganked. Well, bottom lane, Snowball goes out, but not going to be able to catch anybody there. So just the Pugna goes down. Fortunately, the Lina does escape for MVP Hot 6. MVP Hot 6 are still in a good position to take the middle tower, though, so they can still make the better of this trade-off. They're definitely knowing that they can take early control of the map.
Yeah, the reason why that 3-man ultimate is fine, and a lot of people might look at that and say, no, it's not, is because there's a good chance that they can get the tower.
Oh, Lil, he TP'd in straight into the cogs. The TP out is there from the Clockwork. Jarix is going to be caught, though. All of Virtus Pro center up to defend their tower. Sunby actually couldn't complete his TP, gets canceled, and will end up going down to Illidan. So a 5-man out from Virtus Pro will allow them to be the ones to take the middle tower instead.
And it's actually really interesting that MP decides to go for the Aghanim Scepter first. I guess they want the synergy between the two. Or actually, he's going to go for probably the Bloodstone, considering that he's got the Arcane Boots and the Point Booster.
Ball. Heen's going to need to make a save here. Nice Regrepify, but the Echo Slam does extra damage. He'll beat up Pugna, and there's the Walrus Punch to finish off the Bloodseeker as well. The TP's come in. In fact, MP might be in some trouble. God, underneath that Tier 2 tower, already losing his Refraction, decides to back up, but MVP definitely can't be too aggressive here. The Fissure comes out. God immediately blinking onto MP, and will be able to get the kill before the Impale lands. MVP Hot 6 just a little bit too disjointed in their plans to defend their towers. They come in one by one, lose 3 different heroes in the process.
They just don't have the type of lineup that can disengage after, because VP have one of the best chasing lineups in the game. You've got Illidan, who can always back you up with the Rocket Barrage, Distance Flat Cannon, and the Call Down. You've got a TA that opted to go for a Blink Dagger first. I think if she was on Dire side, she might have gone for the Deso, but you just want the ability to follow up things like your Earthshaker, things like your Tuskar Snowball, and you're seeing it pay off right now because MVP just can't disengage. They don't have any defensive abilities like something like the Fissure. Like, once they get gone on, they're pretty much committed at that point for the fight, and that's what you saw right there. And then they decided to go in 2 at a time thinking that the Tier 2 was going to be enough, but you've got heroes like that can fight from a distance from VP, and so it's way too difficult to disengage there. And MP, he should head towards mid because they need a 5-man down this tower. Like, they need to grab some of the momentum back, and this is a lineup that's designed to be aggressive.
He gets blown up as he tries to go for the tower, but that gets denied. It was left with just 1 or 2 HP, and Lil will gladly take that away from MVP Hot 6. 12-5 now. Virtus Pro, I mean, they started off things pretty well, but MVP Hot 6 at one point in time kind of pulled the game back into even territory, but the last few minutes have been all about Virtus Pro and their positioning.
Yeah, lucky for MVP, this score, it's only a difference of 2,000 net worth, so as long as they don't tilt or anything like that, they should be okay. But they can't just keep giving up their Pugna, they can't just keep giving up their Lion, because yeah, it's a support, but the way that you should really think about it is, a support's going to have much less time to catch up into the game. Like, a carry or a mid will always have the jungle to fall back on, or you'll dedicate a lane to their farm. But when it comes to a support, it's so difficult to just guarantee that level of farm. And this top tower, you notice how low it is? They decide to go for the smoke here. If they can catch somebody, great. If they can't, they're going to go for the tower push before they can respond. And MVP is doing the same thing at bottom right now because they anticipate somebody going down there to defend that huge creep wave. So this should be a trade where VP get the top tower, but if G's not careful, this could just mean a death for him.
MVP Hot 6. I almost thought they were going to go for the tier 2 at bottom lane just to make the trade-off. Tier 2 for tier 1. I think that's the point you were originally making.
Yes.
And, okay, they're going to go for it now. I guess it's just a little bit too tempting to see, like, a juicy mid-hero, especially a core there, and not consider at least going for him.
No, you got to ignore that and just say that's a DK Phobos Tusk who's already behind. It's not going to give you the best net worth advantage. Yeah. Going for this tower, which is kind of low, is probably the better play. Because that's the thing is that when you go for a smoke like that, it's not intended to get a kill. You're intended to get an objective here. Like, if you notice at top, they're probably not even going to get that because they just rotate mid for it.
Yeah. Tier 1, oh, nice deny from Jerix. Now rotations to make sure Jerix will not be punished for that. And they did get the tier 2 at the same time, and as you said, that top lane tower is still up. But Virtus Pro are going to be quick to go over there. I mean, they know most of the heroes teleported into the tier 2 tower. That means MVP Hot 6 don't have a real direct route to get to that tier 1 in time. They can't TP.
Sunny knows they're coming. He should be getting out of here. The ward vision did spot them. They didn't smoke for this, and so this is just going to be a straight-up trade for Roshan.
Yeah, God's got the trap already laid out behind the tower. Sunby, he does not have a TP out. The only play he really has is some sort of crazy hook shot.
Oh, they know he's there too.
Yep, the Sigil spies him out now. There goes the trap, and Sunby, well, he throws out the hook shot at the end, but he knows it's not going to do anything. He bought a lot of time, though. MVP Hot 6 will be able to take Roshan for themselves. Let's see whether or not Virtus Pro are actually able to defend in time. A lot of MVP Hot 6 are quite low, and there was mass TPs into the Tier 2 tower. And God, well, he's actually got a haste rune, so this could be really big. FNG is going to be the first ones there. Now the hook shot. Oh, God, this is going to be terrible. Fisher already bringing 2 low. G coming in, able to finish off 1, 2, and Echo Slam gets laid out, and 3 end up falling around that Roshan pit, with Roshan only sitting at 1,500 HP. It doesn't get better than that for VP.
G just kind of walks in and says, hey, free Aegis.
Free Aegis, free kills. That was nasty.
The problem with MVP Hot 6's lineup right there is that you don't have a medallion, you don't have any way to cut through the armor of Roshan, so it just took them so long. They don't even have that many physical damage dealers because MP's decided to go for no treads, nothing of that nature, so he doesn't have any plus damage. You've got a Bloodseeker that is pretty much defensive in his build, and you've got 2 supports that don't add anything and that can't buy medallion, so that's such a risky maneuver for them.
VP centering up for that bottom tier 1 tower. It looks like our line really wanted to get a pick off on one of the supports, like easy kill on the Rubik, maybe solo. Well, no, not even the Rubik. Rubik's got a bracer and an Earnest Shadow, so he's sitting at 1k HP. So Lion couldn't even necessarily solo him. So our Lion's just going to be hanging out there for a while, eventually TPing in, but I'm just not sure. MVP Hot 6, they're not in a really good position to be able to defend. It feels like they're just going to constantly lose teamfight after teamfight, but as you said earlier on, they did build a lineup that was meant to be the aggressors. In this case,